Massive news with the announcement of the hiring of Ryan Grubb back to Alabama as the offensive coordinator for the 2025 season. But it means a lot more than you think. Stick around. This is Way Offsides. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but we promised we were bringing them back for 2025. So here we are. Welcome to the very first Way Offsides pop-up of 2025. It has been an amazing week of news so far for Alabama fans on a Sunday afternoon when it seemed like nothing was going on. College football season's over. Everybody's just kind of prepping for the Super Bowl. Some folks are watching the Pro Bowl. News comes out of nowhere that Alabama is set to hire recently fired Seahawks offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb back to Tuscaloosa. We all know the story, but we've got to talk about it. Ryan Grubb, alongside Kalen DeBoer, had an amazing offense in 2023 at Washington, an offense that made it all the way to the national championship game. They got beat out by a stellar Michigan team, as did Alabama that year. Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer go together like peanut butter and jelly. If you're allergic to peanut butter, I'm sorry. But we all thought, Grubb was going to follow DeBoer last season. He was in coat, going to do that, and then got the offer to Seattle, which you can't really fault him for that, right? I mean, it's Seattle. Like, who's going to say no? It's the NFL. It gets fired. It's general consensus. Hey, Alabama's the landing spot. You don't hear anything for a while, and then all of a sudden, boom, the news drops on a quiet, late winter Sunday afternoon. So, what does that mean for Alabama moving forward? It means a lot of things. I'm going to keep this video short, but it's going to be full of some pretty interesting thoughts that I have in my head regarding Ryan Grubb coming to Alabama. The first one being that we've talked a lot last offseason about Alabama's offense needing to evolve for Alabama to stay relevant in the big picture of things in this era of NIL and transfer portal. And Ryan Grubb is the next evolutionary step for that to take place, I believe. Nick Saban, he did okay with the pieces he had. I know Alabama fans were screaming at their TVs a lot last season. Trust me, you're not alone. I was too, I promise. But obviously, Ryan Grubb is proven. He's got a proven track record alongside Kalen DeBoer. But the good news coming out of this is that Alabama also expects to retain Nick Saban in some way, shape, or form. And I think more importantly, Jamarcus Shepard, who is a hell of a recruiter, an amazing guy, a guy you want on your staff. So I saw somebody tweet this out maybe yesterday or the day before, and I think they'd hit the nail on their head. Alabama needed to put together a national championship caliber staff, and with the addition of Ryan Grubb back to the administrative coaching positions at Alabama, being that next guy on the ladder, I think they've done just that, and I expect Alabama to make a run. And I don't think it's going to take them long to do it. Coming off of that, what you also have to realize with this hire is that there's a potential for other coaches to follow suit. Yes, specifically, we're talking about Scott Huff, the offensive line coach. Huff was also fired, and a lot of talking heads believe that Huff may very well also be on his way to Tuscaloosa. If that happens and Alabama is able to retain Coach Cap, who is also an amazing recruiter, put together an awesome, one of Alabama's best O-line classes, even without Ty Haywood, who committed to Michigan. Even without Haywood, he put together one of Alabama's best O-line classes in a long time. So if they can retain Cap and retain that recruiting ability under Scott Huff, look out. look out. Sky's the limit for the offensive line. Something else that this is going to pay dividends for Alabama. The recruiting world has changed. The strategy has changed. You're seeing recruits who are growing up. We'll use Ty Haywood. That's a great example. Somebody who's grown up a fan of a school like Alabama. Their dream offer, their dream school, their dream place to go play football is at Alabama. And then the last minute, somebody swoops in and offers them $10 million, whatever. Not saying that's what Michigan offered Ty Haywood. It's just an example. But somebody offers, a large sum of money and they flip their commitment at the last minute. We saw it with Bryce Underwood to Michigan as well, right? So that's what college football recruiting is now. So how does a place like Alabama keep up? Alabama's not poor. They're not broke, right? Say that would be absolutely dumb. I think they're probably 5th, 6th in terms of where they stand competitively in NIL. But Alabama in itself probably can't keep up with some schools like Oregon or Texas. So how do they stay competitive? Well, you do it the same way Nick Saban did it. You do it with an amazing staff, right? These kids, these 2026 kids, these 2027 kids, they're going to take notice of this hire, especially at the wide receiving position, the quarterback position, maybe the offensive line position. I think the only position that it may not be as heavy would be the running back position. Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb's offense at Washington didn't feature the running back, but I believe they still had a 1,000-yard rusher. Take that medicine how you want. But if you're a 5-star wide receiver coming out and you've got a guy at Keelan Russell, who's going to be, who we're going to talk about in a second, who's going to be at Tuscaloosa for, probably 3 years. Keelan Russell's a guy that Alabama's going to foot the bill for and do everything they can to try to keep him, much like they did with Jalen Mbakwe, right? So, you get 3 years playing in a guy with like that under a Ryan Grubb system, right? Who is under a Kalen DeBoer system. And we know how those two work in tandem. It's hard to turn down. It's very, very difficult to turn down, especially with their track record of putting receivers in the NFL. We all saw what they were able to do with Michael Penix Jr. at Washington. We expect that to be a similar story at Alabama with Keelan Russell, maybe Ty Simpson, hell, maybe even Austin Mack. We'll see what happens this season. The third thing that I want you to keep in mind when we talk about Ryan Grubb, and forgive me if I've said Ryan Day, we've been talking about Ohio State a lot, but the third thing I want you to think about with Ryan Grubb here is this is something that Nick Saban could not accomplish. Yes, Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer, very close working relationship, right? But Nick Saban came calling back in 2023 trying to get Grubb to Alabama, and he told him no. He absolutely told him no. Last season, right? DeBoer makes the transfer down to Tuscaloosa, wants to bring Grubb with him. Grubb's kind of on board. Seattle comes calling. He says no. Stands in front of the boosters and says, "I'm your offensive coordinator," and then says, "No, I'm gonna go coach in the NFL." Gets fired, and now he's coming. Kalen DeBoer, for those of you who have been on the fence, says Kalen DeBoer needs to do something. He needs to make a move. He needs to make a change. He needs to do something that Nick Saban will do. Well, he just did. He just did. He just made the best staff hire in the college football offseason. There's not going to be a better one unless something comes out of the woodwork that just surprises everybody. This is going to be the best hire outside of head coaching positions in college football in 2025. He just put the rest of the country on notice. Just put the rest of the country on notice. And despite the exits that Alabama has had in the last couple of seasons, specifically at the wide receiving position, we all know that Kane Womack is, I think there's a confidence there in Kane Womack that he's the guy to get that defense to the next level. And with the starters that are coming back, we expect the defense to do its thing, right? Now that confidence is there on the offensive side of the ball. And we told you guys going into 2024, if Alabama has a top 10 defense, which they finished number 1 overall in total defense, and a top 15 offense, it's going to be extremely hard to beat them. Doesn't matter if they're on the road, at home. This is why I think Alabama will make a run for the national championship, not just this year, in years to come. And folks, all Kalen DeBoer has to do is get one, and that Alabama confidence is instilled back in Tuscaloosa. and it's all downhill from there. So tell me what you think in the comments. Did I hit the nail on the head? Where am I wrong? What am I forgetting? Do you think Nick Sheridan deserved another year? I would have been okay with watching Nick Sheridan under another quarterback for a year, but you can't turn down a guy like Ryan Grubb. Before I let you go, please do all the things: like, subscribe, share. You can follow us on all of our socials at Way Offsides. We actually have a Facebook group now. Shout out Sugar Bear who set that up for us. It's at Way Offsides, 4 A's, never 3, never 5, always 4, just like in Alabama. You can go be a part of our growing family. We're growing rapidly, and we want you to be a part of what we're doing. We also have memberships open and available. We always are accepting of donations. And one last thing, if you're interested in becoming part of the Way Offside Sports Network, if you're a creator and you want to scratch our backs while we scratch yours and help each other grow a brand, just reach out to us. You can reach out via our website at Way Offsides. Again, that's with 4 A's. Or you can email us at wayoffsides@gmail.com and let us know, hey, I want to work with you guys. We'll work with you. We've got some fun, exciting things coming up this year, working with recruits. A lot of cool stuff coming. So you're not going to want to miss things. So make sure you're subscribed. And as always, folks, you know the drill. Say your prayers. Read your Bibles. Please wash your hands. Your hands are gross. Horns down. Beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.